require many more resources from the prosecution, defense, and court system than other homicide trials and cost the taxpayers millions each year. What would your policies be as district attorney regarding when to seek the death penalty?
Regarding when to seek the death penalty, I think it's important to look at the type of crime that is committed, and I think it just depends on the crime. You know, there's some crimes that are so heinous that they warrant the district attorney to seek the death penalty in such cases. I think it's a judgment call. I don't think you can set a policy where you're going to seek a death penalty in all cases. You have to take each case individually and consider it in the facts of each case before proceeding and making a decision or a recommendation on seeking the death penalties. There's a lot of serious crime out there. It does involve a lot of monies and expenditures as far as appeals and otherwise, and therefore I don't necessarily think you have to consider that so much as the type of crime that was committed, but you have to, in a way, take that into account. But I think the main thing is to get a prosecution, to get a conviction on those type of crimes, and it just depends on the type of crime.
Mrs. Ford, would you like to repeat the question?
Yes, if you would, please.
Death penalty trials require many more resources from the prosecution, defense, and court system than other homicide trials, and cost the taxpayers millions each year. What would your policies be as district attorney regarding when to seek the death penalty?
As a Catholic, I think that it is something that is puts me in a moral dilemma, because obviously we value life, but at the same time, we have to enforce the law and follow the law. For instance, the law says that if you killed a child under the age of 6, that is a capital offense. That would consist of a capital murder prosecution. So we would have to I would look at not only the cost, what the cost will be to our society, to our county. The monetary cost, we as stewards of the money of this county have to be financially responsible for how that money is spent. We also have to look at the nature of the crime, the severity. We have to look at who the actor is, whether the actor has a long criminal history. We would have to look at other factors as well, including whether this particular defendant will be a future danger to our society. So there are many factors to look at, but I want to give you an example of a capital murder case that I prosecuted along with Mr. Alfredo Padilla, and so that all of you understand how difficult these cases are. In this particular case, a little 2-year-old girl named Mariah Alvarez was literally beaten to death by her mother. This little girl was found unconscious by paramedics at the entrance to her home, alone, like a little broken doll. She had suffered a severe head injury and had been left to die for 2 days, while she suffered trying to breathe. And this is what we know from the family members who did nothing to help the little girl. So we were faced then with whether we would seek death against the mother. And our Bible tells us, and those of you that read it, you will know that it says that whoever hurts even one hair on the head of a child, it would be better that he not been born. So those are the type of cases that we are dealing with that we have to consider. Thank you.
Mr. Brownlee, would you like to repeat the question?
No, that's not necessary. Ladies and gentlemen, look, Texas Code of Criminal Procedure Article 2.01 says that our mandate as prosecutors, as DAs, is to seek justice. The death penalty is part of the law in the United States and part of the law in the state of Texas. It is important that the DA utilize that discretion to seek the death penalty very, very carefully. Very, very carefully, ladies and gentlemen. Now, just as we say justice can never be for sale, you can't put a price on justice either. And one thing that Mr. Ford said that I agree with is that there are all kinds of costs you must look at, not just financial, but you must look at the cost to society, to the victim's family, to us as a whole, and to the defendant and their family as well. I firmly believe in protecting victims' rights, and therefore you have to look at each case individually. No case occurs in a vacuum, and making that decision is the most important, probably the most critical decision a DA will make. I will make those decisions wisely. I have tried those cases before. John Allen Rubio convicted on 3 counts of capital murder, sentenced to death. I've also tried cases for capital murder where I had sought the death penalty, but ended up pleading them to life without parole because we did not engage into a long, expanded trial, and we were able to seek justice and get justice. That's with Daniel Lopez, the shooter of Miss Sonia Perez, the Rio Hondo Teachers of the Year 3 years ago. So I have that experience. I know what it takes. You can't put a cost on justice, and you have to make those decisions on an individual basis. So thank you.
Mr. Garza, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, sir. The purpose of punishment in the state of Texas is threefold.